Hey guys, I am Dia Beltran. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today's video subject matter is my thoughts on women, gender roles, and politics. So a prevailing opinion on the right is regarding women. So you have your Dennis Prager's, you have your Steven Crowder's, who all believe that a woman's place, or that a woman is happier, more often than not, at home, as the nurturer, as the caretaker, the homemaker, the mother, the wife. Yet, if she chooses to add responsibilities to that, like work for financial security, enter politics, what have you, that is also okay, because there are always exceptions to the rule. However, there are other opinions prevailing on the right, but it's more a minority on the right that believe that women, generally speaking, should not at all enter politics, should not at all work, should not at all, whatever it is, vote, drive. Now, I am not here to go against and contest biology and, the God-given roles, the God-given gender roles that we have been allocated, because I'm all for them. I do, however, think that there is context. I do, however, believe in nuance. And so today is my, I suppose, video summary on this very subject. I made a video about this some time ago about how women more often than not ruin politics, and I believe that. So, do women belong in politics? Do women belong in politics, and should women be working at any capacity? Well, there are many studies, in fact, that back up this notion. So when I say women are happier at home, women are happier doing these things, I'm not just saying that because I believe it and it's an opinion. It's backed up by studies. On the website Frontiers in Psychology, there is a study titled Gender Differences in Personality Across the 10 Aspects of the Big Five. In this particular study, there are several different categories. One of them is neuroticism. Consistent with previous findings, women scored higher than men in neuroticism, and in both of its aspects, withdrawal and volatility. When measured in new terms of raw scores, the difference replicates previous findings for neuroticism. At the facet level of neuroticism, women have been found to show higher levels of anxiety, depression, self-consciousness, and vulnerability than men. Men have sometimes been found to score higher than women on traits such as anger or hostility. So just imagine for a moment a neurotic woman in politics. A woman who runs ragged, being completely neurotic and, worrying and having anxiety about all these different things. It's not mentally healthy for her to be in that position. However, it does state that men too have an element of neuroticism. So I just wanted to state that. Okay, so the next part of the same study, agreeableness. Replicating previous findings, there was a significant gender difference in agreeableness such that women tend to score higher than men. And this pattern was the same for the aspects compassion and politeness when measured in terms of raw scores, residualized scores. Our findings that women score higher than men on both aspects are consistent with previous research showing women are more trusting and compliant than men. Men tend to have an independent self-construal, or a sense of self that is separate from cognitive representations of others. Women have a more interdependent self-construal, in which their sense of self includes others. Women, on average, according to what I just read there in that study, are very willing to please others. This is something that I'm trying to stop in certain circumstances. I need to be a lot harder. But generally speaking, women are agreeable. They just want to please people. So imagine a woman in office who isn't necessarily fit for the role and she's just trying to please everyone. It doesn't work. Men are more independent and self-reliant than women. So I think this is part of why many say that men belong in politics and that they are better at it than women. But again, I'm wanting to stress that it depends on the person. This is on average. There's also such a thing as a case-by-case basis and exceptions to the rule. which is what this video is about. So whilst I am reiterating a point that I believe, on average, I do believe that there are certain women who are fit for the position, because if you have a passion for something, you should follow it through. There is also an additional study. In this additional study, what it states is that women lack the evaluative abilities of their male counterparts. Men are more evaluative, whereas women are more emotional. I am a pro-woman, right-leaning individualist who still retains her anti-feminist identity. The two are not mutually exclusive. I understand painting an entire demographic with a particular brush. I understand it because, on average, it tends to be true. There is always an exception to the rule. My friend Marcia and I have actually had these very conversations on camera and also privately. And something that she has been very adamant about that I agree with is that women should work, not because they can't take care of themselves or because they lack the capacity, but because once you are in a circumstance where you are married, it's good to have your own money. It's good to have a form of financial security. Or what if, 10 years down the line, something happens and you discover that your husband or someone is cheating on you? The woman needs to be able to fend for herself, at some level at least. So I think financial security is important, and it also gives you something to do outside of the baby brain of speaking to, your wonderful kids. So I think that's been a very poignant point made by her that I agree with. I think it's extremely important for women to have their own level of security financially if they should choose to take that path. It is unfortunate that over the last, let's say, 100 years, women are more and more unhappy, as illustrated by this particular study, the paradox of declining female happiness. It is funny though when you speak to your peers, your contemporaries around you, the people you went to high school with, your friends, they will say that they are happy, really, really happy being a mum. They love it, they love being a wife. But they all want to go back to work. It's very few women now that don't work at all. It's very few women now that purely rely on their husband. A lot of my friends are back at work with their babies. It's like 2 days a week. So the studies say one thing, but then through experience and anecdotes, you sort of sometimes get a slightly different perspective, let's say. A woman does not lose her femininity for wanting to enter politics. I'm sure there are some cases where one would state that, Penny Wong. However, overall, I would say that there are plenty of women who are representing traditional conservative values, who are in politics or in the political realm at some capacity. And those who argue that women in politics is a form of cultural Marxism because basically they're on the front lines and that emasculates men and the men should be doing that. Well, that's one particular view or definition that one can take from that. However, it doesn't mean that a woman who is in politics is not manifesting the values in her day-to-day life, in her work, and in her morality. The following women who are beautiful and feminine are advancing the traditional conservative agenda for being a wife, for being a traditional woman who wants to stay at home, whilst still working and entering the world of politics. Lauren Southern fought for many years. Now, stay-at-home wife and mum. Lana Lochtef maintains her fight, representing, in her case, a form of nationalism, but still having children and being pro the traditional conservative route for women, for families. Candace Owens, a political force to be reckoned with, and a woman who abides by traditionalism and has stated herself that she loves cooking for her husband. Kayleigh McEnany, beautiful woman. President Trump's most recent press secretary, and she is a well-known conservative who completely looks feminine and is fighting for traditional, moral Christian values. Daisy Cousins recently engaged and is on Sky News often talking about conservative talking points and trying to affirm these to the public so that others are aware that it is okay for a woman to look pretty, to feel pretty, to not be a feminist, and to still be pro-women. Lauren Chen, also known as Roaming Millennial, she has her own show on YouTube and Blaze TV. She is engaged, soon to be married, and is pro the nuclear family and Christian values. Antonia Okafor, a woman who is against abortion, a woman who has been on my YouTube channel, a woman who is fighting for the ability to bear arms, a woman who is pro-femininity. Liz Wheeler, a woman who says it how it is, loves Christian traditionalism and fights for it on her own show. So to summarize, on average, yes, women do seem to prefer and to be happier in their traditional gender roles of being a mother, being a wife, being a caretaker and keeping the house. However, when a woman chooses to work, she is not going outside the norms and advancing modernity and progressivism. She wants to work to add a layer to her title because there's more to women than just that. This is what we are biologically designed for, and we are more nurturing, and these are desires that we have. But when you work, you give yourself another avenue to be excited about. When you enter politics, you give yourself another avenue to be excited about. Additionally, you're fighting for other people at some level. Women who choose to participate in politics, women who choose to work, women who choose to do things a little bit outside of the norm and not necessarily fighting traditionalism. They are just giving themselves an additional layer, a little bit more context, a little bit more for their, biography, a little bit more for their life resume. And I don't have any issues with it. And I don't think the particular minority on the right that has an overall arching issue with cultural Marxism and progressivism should have much of an issue when a woman decides to discuss politics, when a woman decides to drive, when a woman decides to do these things, because it just adds a layer. A lot of us women here agree with you, but it doesn't take away femininity and it doesn't take away from the man. It's not emasculating. It's only emasculating if the woman does it with the intent of emasculating. And those are my final thoughts. I hope you guys have a great day. I look forward to seeing you all next week. So please click the thumbs up or the thumbs down. Remember to subscribe and click the bell. And remember, all my social media links are in the description box below. And we will see you next time.